everybody. Happy Tea with Tamara Day. It is Thursday, which is my favorite day. I'm a little delayed in getting into the live today because I did not look at my calendar before bed, so I had an appointment at 9, and then I was like, I gotta freshen up for the video, mostly because I just like to feel really great and on point when I show up here. And I'm having a freaking joyful time playing in new Trinity of London makeup. Trinity London, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it is something that I keep ordering, including new eyeshadows, and I'm obsessed with fun lips for this season. And so it's been fun to get ready and do my face and show up in big ways. So today, let me know that you're here. If you have any questions about anything that I'm talking about today, it's a really big one. This is a huge one, and it's a catalyzer for change. It's a catalyzer for allowing more into your experience, for allowing more into your business, into your life, into your relationships. I mean, it is unlimited in what is capable of coming in when we really start to nurture and tend to this one piece of advice that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. And it's not something that was easy for me. Like, hey, Chris, I literally knew how to do everything by myself as a kid. I was like so independent, and it's what kept me safe. Right? When everything around me was going crazy and I didn't know how to even like make it through each day, because oftentimes with a family with mental illness and raising a child who had severe mental illness, it was really about just making it through the moments, one moment at a time. Like, I'd open up my eyes every day and I'd be like, makes me want to cry. Do I even want to get out of bed this morning? Because I know something's gonna happen today. And it would be like this process, and I became really, really good at keeping control, and I became really, really good at doing everything by myself and putting everything forward that looked like my life was perfectly okay. I could go to work as a personal trainer and be Captain Joyful Positive Pants, but when I would come home, I knew there'd be something to happen. And I didn't tell anyone what was happening at home. I did everything by myself. When money got tight and I would have $40 to spend on groceries for an entire week for myself and my 2 kids, I didn't ask for support. I didn't ask for help. I did it on my own. And I was really proud of myself. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, Tamara, you are doing a great job. Kudos. But what I was doing without recognizing I was doing it was shutting myself down to support, shutting myself down to allowing others in to take some of the burden off of me, to allow them to just even hold the container of safety with me for but a brief moment, just to give me reprieve, just to allow myself to go like, but I wore that like a badge. It was like this thing that I had created about an identity that I didn't need support. I didn't need help. I was doing just fine. I was making it through the day. No one needed to know. I would take care of everything. I would figure it out. And this becomes a really powerful shifting experience, you guys, when we allow others in to bring us the missing pieces that we can't see for ourselves. Like, as a personal trainer for 9 years, even teaching people to be personal trainers, I was never seeing my blind spots in my own body in my training. I would quit. You know, when you're doing muscle work and you're like, I don't want to do another rep. So you just quit because nobody's there going, don't you quit. Your body is fully capable of doing another rep. Get your ass down there in that squat. That was my job. I was a really mean trainer. It was fantastic. Oh, I loved being a trainer. But I was really a great personal life coach, and on the platform of the fitness, like machinery, also fitness classes, anything to do with health, wellness. It was just such a positive place to be, and I thrived in that community. But when I switched into life coaching, it was the same thing, right? I can still do this. I can figure this out. But the thing is we all need support. And I'm sharing this for 2 reasons. I want to tell 2 stories. One is a recent story, which would be the story of 2020. and me asking for help in a big way, because I decided in 2020 that in order for my business to grow, I had to get really serious about my sacral chakra and some trauma that I was feeling in my sacral. And I committed to that, right? Like I knew that the expansion of my business was tied to this particular chakra. It was tied to the fact that I wasn't quite letting go of everything that was being held in there. And of course, we're always doing the work within ourselves, no matter how big our business gets, so that we're creating space to receive more, right? So we're just unpacking more boxes so that a new client can come in, or a new team member that we can support can come in, and you know what I mean? So we're doing this in service to our expansion of service. And I began 2020, so I went to India, which literally, thank graciously, was the most expansive and spiritual experience, but it shook shit up for me. It was like, you want your material? Ooh, let me get it really, really close to the surface for you. And it was like, boom, there you go. There's your material. And I was like, what the fuck just happened to me? And so immediately I was like, I need some help. There it was. I need some help. I cannot do this on my own. There is so much material here that if I even remotely think that this is mine to do, I can't see it. It just makes me uncomfortable. And that's going to affect how I show up for my clients and my business. And that's not going to be okay. So I actually looked into psychedelics, and I did a psychedelic treatment in the beginning of March. And I have been continuously speaking to therapists and healers. And even recently, because my libido has shifted so much in 2020, I knew that it was beyond me again. And I sought out help. So now I'm speaking to an herbologist, and she recommended that I go to somebody who does pelvis massage, specifically towards like helping people get pregnant, releasing trauma, and it's focused around massaging out the areas that hold the traumas. And so, like, again, does it make me feel like, ooh, I'm super pumped to do this? No, I'm fucking scared. And it's, you know, what else are they going to see in that muscle tissue, and what's going to happen when they release it? And of course there's all these feelings, but I know that the support and the help is what is required in order for me to keep moving my business forward, right? And so the other story that I want to share today about how important this is that the story of 2019. And Jeff and I had sold our house. We put our house up. We decided to sell our house in January. And then we decided to move and rent and not buy another house, because I think I was already in the movement to Vancouver Island. I didn't want to have anything rooted into Ontario, like buying another house. I was already in the momentum of shifting my environment. And it was June 2019. And in 2018, I had brought in over $300,000 in my business. And in 2019, it was June, and only $100,000 had come into my business. And I know that is a lot of money, you guys, and I'm not saying it lightly, but for me, I could see that halfway through the year, I was not even close to even coming into the same revenue in my business. If I doubled it, I would have made less money in 2019 than I did in 2018. And that was not a non-option for me. That was a non-option for me. I know, all my books are back, Jody. And so I did something that is extreme. I did something that not everybody is capable of doing, but I knew that in order for me to shift my business back into a place of growth and capacity for more, and, you know, allowing myself to receive the abundance that was available to me, I wanted to do something extreme and important to shift my business into a place that I could double my revenue each quarter to end 2019 in the same place that I had done it in 2018. Like, going backwards was not option. Just know that about me. Like, that is not how growth works. When we were Buddha in the Badass, and I realized that one of my most important core values is growth, right? Like, that we are constantly expanding and serving more people globally around the world. And so I hired a coach in a time where it would look or feel or seem like it was the worst decision possible. Like, it's like I didn't know where the money was going to come from. I had no idea what was going to happen, but I was like committed into doing something so big energetically that the universe would be like, holy shit, this woman is serious. And I devoured the support I was getting. Like, I was like, just show me the way. Just tell me what to do. I am fucking open to whatever you're going to say, even if it makes me wildly uncomfortable, knowing that the wild uncomfortableness is what's actually going to allow my business to do the actual work it is here to do in this world. And I was fucking embarrassed, you guys, in 2019 in June when I spent the amount of money that I did on my coach. I literally shut down for 2 months. So, and I'm telling you this in truth, like July and August, there wasn't a lot of money coming into my business because I was embarrassed that I had spent this money on a coach. And so I actually had a little bit of a spiral in the direction downward. And why this is really important as well is because at no point did I think it had to do with my decision for asking for help. Not even a little bit did I think that it was because I invested in this coach. I knew that what was actually happening was that I had an opportunity to learn more about what my own internal landscape looked like in order to support my clients deeper. What I was going through those 2 months was information, data, and material. It had nothing to do with my capacity to coach or to be a wealthy witch, right? By the end of 2019, because I'd asked for that support, I ended my year in $300,000. I ended it basically shy of $1,000 compared to what I had made in 2018. And I paid off my 6-figure coach fully and completely before the end of the year had. So I want to bring this up to you because it took me 4 months once I committed. It took me 4 months, 2 months of like really being like, oh shit, what did I do? What did I do? Oh my God, I'm so scared. And it was my own embarrassment. It was my own shame. I was the one that was hiding within making that decision. And then once I was like, fuck that, I love this help. I'm so proud of myself for asking for help when a lot of people wouldn't have done it. And so there comes this moment of trust, right? And the reason why this is so important in the top 3 chakras is this willingness to know that when source is bringing something or someone or some way or form, whether like Jeff and I have done couples coaching this year to help ease my sexual trauma, like I have not stopped asking for help all of 2020 in every form, in any way. I've been hiring a team of people to get me through this sacral work, and in doing so, right, I had to be willing to receive that support. I had to be willing to ask for it. So we have the crown chakra, which means that spirit's going to divinely bring you exactly who is your support or who's going to like offer you that help in your path. And there's a moment of receiving that occurs for you. So when you're like thinking, oh, I wish I could receive a sign or somebody would come, your crown chakra is open to receiving that. Then comes this third eye where trust happens, right? Now, trust is a big deal because trust at the third eye means that you're not creating a story that isn't real. Trust at the level of the third eye, that is that like, okay, great, God created this connection or this relationship for a purpose and a reason, and therefore I just need to know that God's got my back. God's got my back. Spirit's got my back. Universe has got my back. And I don't have to do this on my own anymore, because as soon as we're in a misalignment of the third eye, that's when we get into that impossibly independent mindset and we have to do everything by ourselves. Because when we're in full trust, we trust ourselves. We trust God, Spirit, Creator, Goddess, Universe, love, right? And we trust others. We trust fully in what has been aligned to us. And sometimes there's a discomfort in there because we may have had some relations in our past, maybe even some previous coaches or some programs that we've purchased that were like, well, I didn't get what I wanted, so we create this distrust. And so every new relationship is just like a love relationship. You can't come in bitter into a new love relationship and think that the relationship is going to have 2 feet to stand in, right? Like you come into these relationships fully open, trusting that I would open my heart fully, and I would choose being hurt over choosing being closed, right? So being all in trust, in that the result, you would never have been guided to this if there wasn't a result for you in this expansion of yourself. and the throat. And the throat is really impactful because when you're receiving information or you're receiving guidance, it has to come out somewhere and it needs to be voiced out into the world. And this is where your throat chakra is absolutely imperative, because you could be receiving signs and synchronicities and knowings and be in this place of like up leveling or choosing something great, asking for support. But if you're not actually using your throat chakra to ask for the support, all this valuable energy, all of this opportunity, all of this possibility doesn't go anywhere. And so really the being in this willingness of looking at what's not working and understanding that we require support in our businesses and in our lives as humans, because we have our own egos, and our ego will always think that whatever we're doing is unsafe. The unknown is very unsafe. And so having a set of eyes and another set of humans to support you in understanding what's happening and give you the guidance, and so that when you're in the weeds and you can't see what the next step is, they reach their hand and say, you got this, let me step with you. And so, and that's why opening up and being in that space, it's so valuable. It really does keep your upper three chakras in this beautiful space of alignment when you begin to acknowledge how powerful it is to allow the support of the divine in, the support of others, and trusting that the guidance that you receive to reach out to whatever healers, whatever coaches, whatever mentors, whatever programs are actually in alignment to what it is that you've been asking for, and being willing to take those steps. So I really just wanted to come into that because I recently just went into even more ask with the herbologist, and even in the first 2 days, yesterday I was sending an email and asking for even more support, because once you've opened the door to support, it is not, you're not a burden. You're not a burden to anyone. When you sign up to somebody and they're like, great, I'm here, I'm available to you, use that relationship. Use it even as a practice to get into that place of safety and communication and conversation. So I was like 24 hours later, basically 48 hours, I was like, okay, this is what's happening. And she was like, great, let's just minimize this dose and do a little this and do a little that so that I can feel the most optimum that I can feel. But I could have just, again, not messaged her. Reaching in for support, y'all, is kind of a big deal. Just a quick reminder that next week, Tea and Tarot and Tea with Tamara is not happening. I'm in masterminds throughout the early week, and then I'm running Rebel Unicorns Live on Friday and Saturday, which I would love to see everybody in there. Think of 2 days of this divine teachings and guidance, and it's going to be really, really powerful. So it would be awesome if you joined us in those 2 days, because that will be the way that we get to spend time together next week. And I hope you have a magical Thursday, and leaning in with all your heart and allowing the support of others to come freely towards you and being open to receiving it when it comes.